Welcome to MWP. I'm your host, Seth.
And Tristin.
And today, we are back uh, with another little episode. I think it's been a little bit. As I did
Quite a bit.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did do my solo, though, which was interesting to not have my co host with me.
Apologies. Been a lot going on over here, you know.
Oh, yeah.
My fiance, we just bought a house together, so we've been packing and moving. So it's been kind of crazy over here.
Oh, yeah, but, good crazy, at least, since you got your house.
Yeah, I'm good crazy. I mean, this morning I just learned a new skill of fixing a sink because I looked under the sink and there was a bunch of water pouring out from underneath the drain. So I got to
Oh,
figure out how to fix that. Yeah, that was fun.
lovely.
Yeah. Hey, it's all fixed though now. It only took me 2 trips to Home Depot and like $100, but it is fixed.
Well, you're immediately getting, the typical house fixing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should have expected that when I got an 80-year-old home, but
Ah!
worth it.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
Worth it.
It's a nice little house.
Thank you, thank you.
But yeah, a little hectic. It been a little hectic for me. Not because of me moving into a house. Me just dealing with some bullshit is all I will say.
I said you should share a little bit, maybe not fully in detail to keep some
Yeah.
privacy, but
Well, I guess I can say it's like job bullshit. Recently got a new job, and just every step of the way has been just headache. Was headache, I should say. And stuff like that. So very fun, very fun. Just also being lied to, but that I think that's all I'll share for that.
yeah, I think I've realized though every job, I don't think there's any escape. They're always gonna lie to you about something, at least.
No, yeah, well, yeah, but this is the first one that's just like
About everything.
about everything and just so major.
Yeah, that was pretty messed up of them.
Oh yeah, but got over that. That's why I was busy, just like being like, can I have a job? Oh, but
Well, I mean, it was a good lesson learned, right?
yeah, yeah. But here we are.
Mm.
So we're back today, and we're staying in New York from Montauk, and I guess technically we weren't in New York for the last episode because it was just about childhood fears, but doing more New York because they have a very interesting urban legend called the Crospy Maniac.
The Crospy Maniac, he's an urban legend. Well, urban legend became reality, unfortunately. So the urban legend of the Crospy Maniac comes from Staten Island in New York. It tells of a disfigured man that lurks in the woods. If a child was foolish to wander into the forest, Crosby would snatch them up and take them far away before ultimately killing them. He was said to have a hook for a hand with scars and burns all across his body. In some, in some tellings, he was a father who lost his kid and ended up losing his mind, and now he kidnaps other children to hopefully replace his own child. The urban legend was popular, especially in the 1970s, because it helped Staten Island with a large amount of woods and parks. Easy enough for children to get lost in, so it prompted the parents to make sure their children would stay out of them. The legend would gain a frightening
Tinge.
tinge of reality in 1980.
Yeah, well, it's Cropsy. And I think the whole like hook for hand scars, that's just like all there to just make him scary.
Kinda. I mean, if you're thinking about it, like what we got, the Candyman. I think he was it one or two hooks for his hands, and then, well, like Captain Hook. I feel like all the villains they have to have a hook for a hand back in the 80s.
Yeah, I think it was very common oh my god, I can't think of icon, I guess is what I'm trying to think of for that. Now I wonder where that comes from though.
I'm not sure. Oh, okay, here we go. The hook hand trope for villains stems primarily from J.M. Barrie's in 1904 play by Peter and Wendy, later known as Peter Pan. So, yeah, it was pretty much just from Pirates and Captain Hook, I guess. He started it all.
Damn, I would not have expected him him to be actually like the origin of that. Huh. But fuck yeah.
The more you know.
Oh yeah, that's cool. As we said, with the urban legend of the Crospy Maniac, it would not stay an urban legend. As in the 1980s, we have a man named Andre Rand. I think that's how you say his name.
Andre Rand? I
Yeah.
believe so.
Cool. I'm horrible at names, so I'm never too sure. He was also known as Frank Bruchetti? Whatever. Immediately, another name. And dubbed the Pied Piper of Staten Island. He is an American. He's an American convicted child kidnapper, sex offender, and suspected serial killer, who's currently serving 2 sentences of 25 years to life in prison for the abductions of 2 girls, aged 7 and 12, on Staten Island, New York. Rand was born Frank Rostam Roshan on March 11th, 1944, in New York, New York. According to his younger sister in the 2009 documentary Cropsy, neither she nor her brother were sexually or physically abused as children. Rand's father died when Rand was aged 14, and his mother was institutionalized at Pilgrim Psychiatric Center in Breton, New York, where he and his sister would visit her. Between 1966 and 1968, using the name Frank Bruchetti, Rand worked as a custodian, orderly, and physical therapy aide at Willbrook State School, later renamed the Staten Island Development Center. On May 5th, 1969, Rand was arrested in the South Bronx for kidnapping and attempting to rape a 9-year-old girl whom he had enticed into his car and driven to a vacant lot. Rand removed his clothes and hers, but a passing police car interrupted the crime. Charged with attempted rape, Rand pleaded guilty to sexual abuse and was sentenced to 4 years. He served 16 months in prison, gained parole in January 1972, and legally changing his name to Andre Rand. He logged 3 more arrests by the end of the decade for minor offenses, including burglary. Burglary. Okay, whatever.
Burglary?
Thank you. We'll continue this, but I think if you get arrested and like literally sentenced to sexual abuse and like specifically towards a minor, I don't think you probably should be able to change your name.
I was thinking the same thing. I feel like that's almost, I mean, I guess it is essentially them trying to erase their past and escape all that. Like, no, like you did that, you gotta stick with it, you know?
No, yeah. Also, only serving 16 months
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
of his 4 years. Like, what the
I
fuck?
for sure have seen a pattern and prevented a lot.
No, yeah. Like, it's just like, it's crazy. And that is 16 months. What is that, a year and a half?
Yeah, that's what.
Wait, no. Not even a year and a half.
A year and a half, but maybe he had like family or something that let him out easy.
I mean,
you know?
maybe. It's just fucking insane.
Yeah, it's messed up.
In 1979, Rand was accused of raping a young woman and a 15-year-old girl, but neither pressed charges. In 1983, while driving a school bus, Rand picked up a group of 11 children from Staten Island YMCA, purchased a meal for them without the consent of any of their parents, and took them to the Newark Liberty International Airport. None of the children were harmed in this encounter, but Rand was apprehended and served 10 months in jail for unlawful imprisonment.
Okay, can we like step back on the 1979 incident? Like, why would it even be a need for them to press charges? That should just be like like you did this, you're going away.
No, yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
No, yeah. Like, I feel like, again, with his past.
Yeah, they should have just been like, all right, like you obviously have a pattern, like you're gonna do some more stuff if you stay in public.
No, yeah. But they're like, nah, nope. They don't want to press charges, and, well, we're not going to do anything either. And guess what he did? He proceeded to take a group of children for a little bit and try to get them on an airport or an airplane.
At least none of them were harmed in that occurrence.
I don't know, yeah. Like, thank God. But it's just like,
Yeah,
it's already immediately just like, what are we doing? Why was he still allowed?
they could. There's obviously like it's escalating. Like something needs to be taken care of or changed.
No, yeah. From this is going to lead into uh, where he actually has confirmed victims now.
The first victim was Jennifer Schweiger. I think that's how you say that. She was a 12-year-old girl. Jennifer Schweiger was born with Down syndrome, and she was reported missing on July 9th of 1987. Witnesses spotted Schweiger walking with Rand. Her body was found underground after a 35-day search. While combing the area around Willbrook State School, the particular spot caught the eye of retired New York City firefighter George Kramer. I'm seeing way too many Kramers in my life right now, dude. My boss's last name is Kramer, and the title company that I was dealing with for my house, her name was Kramer as well. That's weird.
Damn.
Um, anyways, he returned to the police. He returned with the police. The entire body was unearthed from the shallow grave. The remains were positively identified as those of Schweiger. Police searched the grounds for evidence and found one of Rand's makeshift campsites in proximity to Schweiger's grave. In 1988, Rand was charged with the kidnapping and first-degree murder of Schweiger. The Staten Island jury could not reach a verdict on the murder charge, but convicted Rand on the first-degree kidnapping charge. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. He would have been eligible for parole in 2008 if not convicted for a second kidnapping.
Holy fuck.
I feel like they should have easily charged him with life. Well, I guess if they didn't have like hard evidence, they could just. I guess they couldn't, but
I
like with his prior stuff, if they even had like the slight idea that he might have done that,
no, yeah.
like just press him all the like charge him to the fullest extent.
No, yeah. Like, I don't understand how the jury could not reach a verdict on the murder charge.
Yeah, did they? Were lie detector tests pretty common back then? Oh, I would think so, right?
I don't know, actually. The polygraph on incorrectly referred to as a lie detector in the 1920s.
Yeah, I mean, like I know they're not.
They're not, like, actual, really, like, that good for evidence.
Yeah, I know they can't really just go off of those because they kind of suck, but I'm sure they could have got something from it.
Again, the man has, clearly a history, and then you find her body, and then pretty much right by the body is a makeshift camp that he had, and he was seen with her. What way does she die from something like someone else, you know, and it's not him?
Yeah, and I'm convinced that he had someone on the inside. Like,
Dude, a little bit. Like, it might be
getting
my
off this many times.
headache doing this, but it's like, this is making me mad because, like, this dude clearly is a giant threat, and they're just like,
The
no.
prime example of the justice system failing. Yeah.
No, yeah.
And then, well, after that tragic incident, we have Holly Ann Hughes. She was last seen July 15th of 1981 on Staten Island near Richmond Terrace and Park Avenue. Her mother sent her to Port Richmond, Delhi, 2 blocks away, to purchase a bar of ivory soap, and she was last seen buying it around 9:30 p.m. She never returned home and has never been seen or heard from again. A month after Hughes' disappearance, her mother received a phone call from a man who identified himself as Sal. Um, he informed Cedarholm that he was imprisoning the child, and he asked that they meet so that Cedarholm could engage in sex acts for the camera in exchange of Hughes' safe return. Terrible. Cedarholm went with the detectives to meet Sal at Penn Station in New York City, but he never showed up. She stated that she believed Sal really had Hughes by this time. She thought Hughes was dead. In January of 2002, authorities examined the yard of Rand's former Staten Island home on Veerland Street, but they were unable to find any evidence pertaining to Hughes' case. Shortly after Hughes vanished, police questioned Rand and searched his car, but they did not find, or they did not prosecute him until 20 years later. Cedarholm identified Rand's voice as the same voice she heard during the extortion phone call. Witnesses claimed to have seen Rand's green Volkswagen circle the business where Hughes vanished in 1981. What is up with terrible people in Volkswagens, dude?
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
Ted
hey.
Bundy over here, Rand. That's bad. I gotta get
Does
rid of mine.
I was like, does not make me feel comfortable that I
Yeah,
too have a Volkswagen.
yeah. Or maybe I just keep it and break the stereotype.
Oh,
Yep,
so true.
yep. Witnesses saw Hughes in Rand's car. He acknowledged playing hide and seek with Hughes on the day she vanished and gave her money to buy soap because she was filthy. He claims to have left before she vanished. Authorities also determined that Rand's aunt lived in the same Port Richmond apartment building where Hughes' family resided in 1981. Rand was convicted of kidnapping Hughes on October of 2004. Rand was never charged with the child's murder due to a lack of evidence. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. He was also serving 25 years to life for the Schwager kidnapping. The second sentence made it extremely unlikely that he would ever be freed. I think that is very well justified. Yeah, he should spend the rest of life behind those bars.
No, yeah, and I'm glad that he is. But what the idea of like they're like we can't convict him of murder, and it's like
Like, what evidence do they need to say, okay, he did it? Like,
hmm,
seems pretty clear to me that he did it.
he clearly kidnapped her, and and she clearly's never been seen since. Hmm.
I think happened.
Yeah. I wonder. You guys think she might be alive? It's like,
That's,
no, man, no. What? Like, oh my god.
yeah, they need. Well, I guess he's gonna spend the rest of his life in prison now, anyways. But pretty messed up. They did not get the justice they deserved.
I don't think so. Like, he should have been charged with murder. Like, yeah, I get he's still in there, and he's definitely going to die in there. But it's like he should have been charged with those murders as well.
Yeah,
Insane that he's not, because like, what else can happen? There's no way he kidnaps two children. One is confirmed dead, and the other is just nowhere be seen. And you can't be like, he clearly killed them.
yeah. It's
Like, what are we doing?
it doesn't seem like they know what they're doing either.
Apparently not. Jesus Christ. Um, Now, those were the confirmed victims. However, there is a lot of suspected victims from him. On July 7th, 1972, 5-year-old Alice, however you say that name, vanished from the area around the Tyson's Lane apartments in the 600 block of Tyson's Lane on Staten Island. She was playing in the building's lobby with her brother and disappeared around 3:30 p.m. after he briefly left her alone. After that, Alice might have been seen in a park close to the apartment complex in the New Dorp neighborhood. She has not been seen or heard from since. At 6:15 p.m., her mother reported her missing. At the time of her disappearance, Alice's parents were divorced, the girl lived with her mother, and her father lived in Manhattan. Authorities initially believed her father had taken her, but he was later cleared as a suspect. Rand is the prime suspect in her case, as he worked as a painter in the Tyson's Lane apartments at the time of the disappearance. My God. Also, I just want to make an thing real quick on his on Holly. I know it's a different time, but to just send your 7-year-old to a store alone to buy soap is insane.
I want to agree, but at the same time, I'm sure they felt like it was probably a lot safer, or at least they thought. They probably knew everyone in the area and felt comfortable with it.
But I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like even in the thing of people being like, oh, it's safer time, I still don't know if I like would do that if I was in their shoes, like being like, oh yeah, my 7-year-old can go there.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Not even
Like,
in the sense of like, because again, like you said, it's like a safer, like people thought it was safer time, where in reality it wasn't. They just,
didn't get caught.
didn't get caught, and also the world wasn't as, like connected, so you didn't hear about stuff as much from different places. But like,
Yeah.
I like just in this thing of like, they're 7 years old, an accident could happen, like they could get hit by something or something like that. Like, so that's where I'm like, I don't even know if I was in the shoes, send the 7-year-old out, because I was like, yeah, I might think them, I might be like, oh, nobody's gonna like take my kid. I'd be like, my kid might just get hurt though because they're 7. Like,
Yeah, but just a little kid. They don't know
no, yeah,
much at all, really.
no, yeah, like, brother, they could just like, they're 7. They could be, spacing out, walking, and like trip, and then just like crack their head open, Like, Audrey Lynn Nerenberg, was she was 18, was last seen leaving her family's home in the Canarsie neighborhood of Brooklyn on July 5th, 1977. She had told her mother that she would be returning immediately after going 2 blocks to purchase cigarettes, but she has also never been heard from again. Her habit phrenic schizophrenia had caused her to spend brief periods of time in several healthcare institutes in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens between 1974 and 1977. At the time of her disappearance, she was an outpatient at Kingsborough Psychiatric Center in Brooklyn. On July 4th, 1977, the evening before she vanished, she traveled with her family to Staten Island to see a movie at the former Jerry Lewis Theater on Forest Avenue, which was adjacent to a campsite that Rand had previously visited.
I mean, at least they're saying he's suspected of these ones, right?
No, yeah. Also, the schizophrenia that it says she had is, I guess, now known as disorganized schizophrenia. Sorry, it's an obsolete subtype of schizophrenia, is no longer diagnosed as a separate condition. We have Ethel Lewis Atwell, 42, was last seen October 24, 1968 at the Willbrook State School, where she worked as a physical therapy assistant. At 6 a.m., before she could get from the parking lot into her building on the school's campus, 2 female employees heard a male voice outside say, "Come on, come on," and Atwell say, "No, you'll beat me." Atwell then screamed. The employees called the police after hearing the screams. The parking lot was still dark and the streetlights were off, and it was difficult for the employees to see anything. Items belonging to Atwell, including a tan pocketbook, 1 earring, 1 black shoe, 3 black coat buttons, and part of her set of dentures, were discovered by the first responders along with the left side of her locked car. About 75 feet away in the woods, Atwell's car keys were discovered. No trace of Atwell has been found despite a thorough search of the area. Pretty messed up. Also, I know why they suspect, because it was at the school that he worked at. Shen Li was a nurse, aged 44, who had gone missing earlier in 1978 from Willbrook State School under similar circumstances to Atwell. She was reported missing on July 20th and was last seen walking home from the campus towards her home close to midnight. Lee was found murdered by strangulation and buried in a shallow grave near a wooded area on facility grounds on August 6th, only 2 months prior to Atwell's disappearance. Atwell and Lee are suspected victims of Rand, though there is no concrete evidence linking him to either incident. I could see it being Rand. I could also see it being something else, which we'll get into when we talk about this school. Because, oh boy. As you guys probably guessed, this school is not the best. For another victim, we have on August 14, 1983, 12 days after Rand was released from prison, 11-year-old Tahese Jackson was last seen leaving the Mariners Harbor Motel on Forest Avenue in Staten Island at 1:30 p.m. While Jackson's mother was asleep, another resident of the hotel sent Jackson out to purchase chicken wings from the Crown supermarket in the 900 block of Richmond Avenue. Jackson never returned to the hotel and has never been heard from again. Her mother woke up at 4:30 p.m. and, discovering her daughter had been missing for 3 hours, immediately called police. Having both passed lie detector tests, Jackson's mother and uncle were ruled out as suspects in her disappearance. Andre Rand had a campsite at the Baron Hirsch Cemetery less than 1/2 mile from the Mariners Harbor Motel, and Jackson's mother said she had seen a man matching his description lowering in the motel's parking lot. Although Rand was interrogated, no charges were filed.
What's up with them not wanting to press charges?
No, yeah. Again, and the man literally already has a known history at this point. We have Henry Gaffaro, a 22-year-old native of Staten Island, had gone out drinking on June 8, 1984. He first went to Moke's Away, but was declined service. After that, he went to the Spa Lounge in the Port Richmond neighborhood and remained there until it closed at 4 a.m. Before going missing, he was spotted at the diner with Rand. He vanished without trace at 7 p.m. He was reported missing. He was described as being slow and had an IQ in the 70s. He lived with his parents and 3 brothers in the 90 block of Haberton Avenue, on the same block as Rand and just around the corner from Hughes' residence. His body has never been found. I think we can all say he did that.
He did that for sure.
Officers and inmates at the prison where Rand is currently incarcerated testified regarding conversation in which he allegedly bragged about his pedophilic exploits. He reportedly confessed Hughes' murder to an inmate and compared himself to serial killer Ted Bundy. He'll become eligible for parole in 2037 when he will be 93 years old.
Do you think he's going to make it till then?
Probably not, I wouldn't imagine. Honestly, kind of surprised he hasn't been, kind of taken out by inmates. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought with crimes like that, somebody would have done some prison justice. But
yeah. But I guess not. And, maybe there could be some of the victims he didn't do, but it's insane how close he is to, every single suspected victim.
yeah, it seems there's at least some pretty clear connections.
Yeah, I feel like it's a safe bet to be yeah, he probably did those. When it's always oh, they disappeared around, one of his campsites, or he literally lived in the neighborhood with them and was seen eating dinner with them. And then there's just nah, not enough evidence.
But anyways, let's hop into the Willbrook State School. This is a school that we've been mentioning throughout the podcast. So the Willbrook State School was a state-supported institution for children with intellectual disabilities in the Willbrook neighborhood of Staten Island in New York City. It operated from 1947 to 1987. The school was designed for 4,000, but by 1965, it had a population of 6,000. At the time, it was the biggest state-run institution for people with mental disabilities in the United States. Living conditions at the school were crowded and filthy, and during its first decade of operation, outbreaks of hepatitis, primarily hepatitis A, were common. Medical researchers intentionally carried out research on the disease and its effects at the school, which was discontinued after public outcry. The conditions of the questionable medical practices and experiments prompted U.S. Senator Robert F. Kennedy to call it a snake pit. The institution gained national infamy in 1972 when Gerald Riviera did an expo on the conditions there. Public outcry led to its closure in 1987 and to federal civil rights legislation protecting people with disabilities. A February 2020 New York Times investigation found out that the alumna of Willbrook continued to be abused in smaller group homes. A portion of the grounds and some of the buildings were incorporated into the campus of the College of Staten Island, which moved to Willbrook in the early 1990s. By 1965, Willbrook housed over 6,000 intellectually disabled people, despite having a maximum capacity of 4,000. U.S. Senator Robert F. Kennedy toured the institution in 1965 and proclaimed that the individuals of the overcrowded facility were quote unquote living in filth and dirt, their clothes in rags, in rooms less comfortable and cheerful than the cages in which we put our animals in a zoo, and offered a series of recommendations for improving the conditions. Although the hepatitis study had been discontinued, the residential school reputation was that of a warehouse in New York City's mentally disabled people, many of whom were presumably abandoned by their families, foster care agencies, and other systems designed to care for them. Donna J. Stone, an advocate for mentally disabled children and victims of child abuse, gained access to the school by posing as a recent social work graduate and then shared her observations with members of the press. A series of articles in local newspapers, including the Staten Island Advance and the Staten Island Register, described the crowded, filthy living conditions at Willbrook and the negligent treatment of some of its residents. Jane Curtin was the first reporter to write a story about Willbrook State School after she visited Willbrook in order to cover a demonstration that social workers and parents of the residents had organized. Curtin wanted to get inside the buildings, and social workers Elizabeth Lee and Ira Fisher brought her inside. Shortly thereafter, in early 1972, Geraldo Riviera, then an investigation reporter for WABC TV in New York, conducted a series of investigations at Willbrook, uncovering a host of deplorable conditions, including overcrowding, inadequate sanitary facilities, a physical and sexual abuse of residents by members of the school staff. Riviera then visited several facilities in California. While the conditions in the California facilities were found to have been significantly improved, the conditions at Willbrook remained neglectful. The expose entitled Willbrook, The Last Great Disgrace, uh, garnered, garnered national attention and won a Peabody Award for Riviera. Riviera later appeared on the national televised Dick Cavett show, with film and patients at the school. As a result of the overcrowding and inhumane conditions, a class action lawsuit was filed against the state of New York by the parents of 5,000 residents of Willbrook in a federal court on March 17th of 1972. This was known as New York Ark versus Rockefeller. Elizabeth Lee's employment was terminated in 1972 as a result of her activism with the parents. Riviera exposed the motivate or Rivera's expose motivated John Lennon and Yoko Ono, I think that's how you say it,
Yeah.
to hold a benefit concert for Willbrook, performing 2 shows at Madison Square Garden on August 30th of 1972.
Didn't expect
In 19...
Beatles to get mentioned
What?
here, did you? I said I didn't expect a Beatles member to get mentioned in here, did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, same.
Always mentioned though. Um, in 1975, a consent judgment was signed, and it committed New York State to improve community placement for now or
Designated.
designated. There we go. Designated Willbrook class. The publicity generated the case was a major contributing factor to the passage of federal law. The Civil Rights of Institutionalized Persons Act of 1980. According to a February 2020 New York Times investigation that has now been broken, many of the institution's 2,300 alumni who are alive today still suffer from the mistreatment. The Times reports that in 2019 there have been 97 reported allegations of physical abuse by group home workers against Willbrook alumni. Also, 34 allegations of psychological abuse and hundreds more of neglect and mistreatment, like improper use of restraints or
Seclusion.
medications, errors, and theft. Bronx County District Attorney Darcel Clark investigated one of the facilities that housed Willbrook alumni but found insignificant evidence for abuse. Witnesses not willing to come forward and victims not able to speak for themselves. It's not whether or quote unquote, it's not whether or not it happened, she said. It's what we couldn't prove.
Goddamn.
Yeah, so that's a lot of information to unpack about the Willbrook School.
Yeah, it was a lot.
All pretty terrible.
No, yeah. And so that's where I'm like, there's a couple where I'm like, okay, it could just been someone else who worked at that school for some of them. Since it seemed like 99% of that school was just terrible.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we really could say anything good about it.
No. No. Like, goddamn. Like, insane how actually awful that school apparently was.
I think the medical treatment of like any mental issues back then was absolutely terrible.
Oh,
I
no,
think they just
yeah.
missed subjects.
Oh, no, yeah. And, like, it's improved, but, like, as we see, apparently, like, even in 2020, there's still stuff of, like, the people who were at that school still be mistreated in other facilities, you know? As such, because of all this, both the urban legend of Cropsey and the actual reality of Andrew Rand has made some appearance and like in other media, like a documentary that was released in 2009 called Cropsey. It was written and directed by Joshua Zeman and Barbara
Renaccio?
Bronaccio. That sounds right. Because it covered both the urban legend and Andrew Ryan, and premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival, and its reception was overly positive. Soon, like very actually like close to when all this was unfolding, we have a 1981 horror movie, The Burning, which follows a camp caretaker that is horribly burned from a prank. And we have a 1982 horror movie called Madman, which focuses on a murderer named Madman Mars, who is summoned by a group of campers.
Those sound like terrible knockoffs of like Jason.
Well, that may be. That may be. Yeah, that was those Cropsy, the Crospy Maniac urban legend, and the sadly reality of the Andrew Rand kidnappings.
Yeah.
Which, God, just being like a parent during that time, being like, oh, don't get in the force, you'll get kidnapped. You know, as like a like a fun little thing you tell, scare your kid, so they don't like wander in there. But then you have turns out probably wasn't you didn't have to worry about the forest because they were getting kidnapped in the city, you know?
Yeah, but he was hiding in the forest near the school, so.
Like, insane. And just
I
like,
mean, at least at that point, you didn't have to make up a story. Like, you could just say, hey, like, don't wander off. You probably will get kidnapped, you know?
dude, by just the sheer amount of suspected victims, if he is, like, did any of those, the man was on a goddamn spree. Like,
Yeah,
so
he probably.
many, so many people went missing and have not been found. Insane.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's just a sad reality of a lot of those missing people is, they're just never going to get, like, a solid answer about what happened.
Oh, yeah. Which is insane, because also I know even today it is still like, it is not common for a missing person to be found. Even now. Which is just
Yeah.
insane. That it's like, it's still such a problem where it's like, we just can't find them. But we hope you guys enjoyed, this episode.
Nice to be back.
Hell yeah.
For sure, try to get more content out to you guys.
Yep, we have been talking about potentially doing some more regular videos on the channel, since people seem to like the one I did, when we were busy. So, we'll be looking to that. Which, if you
Maybe
guys...
shorts, too. Could be interesting.
Oh, yeah. Which, if you guys have any recommendations or, like, potential stuff you want to see from us that's, more regular videos, let us know, Let us know down in the comments. But we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.